I've never been more excited to forecast rain as I am today. This update is being recorded just after 3:45 on Monday afternoon. It's August 18th, 2025. The webcam just outside Lewisport shows wet roads, and that is something I'm very excited about because the rain that's there is working east. We'll get to that in just a second. First, I must thank tonight's sponsor, Heat Pump Solutions. Beat the heat and get a mini split from Heat Pump Solutions. Visit heatpumpsolutions.ca for more. The webcam in Lewisport shows the rain. The one overlooking New Gower Street in St. John's does not, at least as of this recording, but I suspect overnight and tomorrow that will change. The radar shows this really nicely. Look at all that rain beginning to work its way in along a front. That becomes widespread over eastern and northeastern Newfoundland overnight and continues in some areas through Wednesday, and that will really help with fire suppression efforts. Now, speaking of the fires, the Kingston fire is just under 10,000 hectares in size. The Paddy's Pond fire is sitting at about 320 hectares in size. The Martin Lake fire just under 2,000 hectares in size, and thankfully none of these have shown growth over the last 24 hours. That being said, the Kingston fire has remained quite active on this western flank. That has made for some very dramatic videos and photos that I've seen at night taken from the Heart's Content Barrens, which sits down just south of the fire. And while that is alarming, most of this is burning over fairly remote areas of the Avalon Peninsula. I don't think it's going to grow much further to the west because of A, the forecast, and B, the wind direction over the next few days. This fire is still putting off a lot of smoke, as are the other fires still burning on the island. And this picture came to me from Bonavista earlier today, taken by Cheryl Templeman, and you can see there is certainly some smoke in the air. That smoke, believe it or not, is being directed from the Kingston fire. That bright dot you see there is the smoke from the Kingston fire, and that's being carried north toward the Bonavista Peninsula and north toward Bonavista Bay, which is why some of those areas are seeing the smoke this afternoon. That should clear over the next couple of days as we have the rain and the wind direction shifts around a bit. Now we have the rain, which is a good thing. Temperatures are also not nearly as warm as they were last week. You can see there just before 4 o'clock, temperatures across the island and the province, for that matter, are in the teens to about 20 degrees, about 10 degrees colder than almost any day last week. Even the cooler temperatures help with fire suppression efforts in a big way, and we're going to remain near or below those kind of seasonable levels all the way into the weekend and potentially next week, which again, if you're a summer lover, probably not loving the temperature forecast, but I think we can all breathe a collective sigh of relief that we're done with the heat dome. And again, hopefully that will really help with the fire suppression efforts. Now we go back to the radar and we can see the rain is moving in. That's along a front. That front is going to work its way from west to east overnight through tomorrow and eventually moving offshore. But as that happens, an area of low pressure will develop along that front and kind of slowly meander away. And we can see that here on Futurecast very well. By tomorrow morning, that low is just over, looks like the Bonavista Peninsula and kind of the Cape Frills area. We'll just call it Bonavista Bay. That moves eastward, and by tomorrow evening, it's pretty well offshore of the Avalon. But look at the rain. That green swath is the rain over areas from Grand Falls, Windsor, to almost St. Anthony, all the way down to the Avalon and the entire Avalon at that. And it continues, although it gets a bit more showery come Wednesday morning before the rain eases off by midday Wednesday and the weather will improve. What I'm really excited to talk about right now are the rainfall amounts. Look at the rainfall forecast through Wednesday midday. 25 millimeters in Clarenville, 25 millimeters in Gander, roughly 15-20 millimeters in the forecast for Grand Falls, Windsor, up through the Bay Verte Peninsula area, maybe even more in some locations. And then we zoom in even further. Now the computer model is showing 67 millimeters for CBS. I don't know if I buy that, but look at the widespread 15 to 30 plus millimeter forecast. This is some excellent news. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about this kind of rain in the forecast because it's been so long since we've seen it. I mean, we might eclipse July's rainfall total in one foul swoop in the St. John's area. We've only seen like 9 millimeters of rain so far this month, so it will not take much to already eclipse August's total, which is certainly going to be welcome relief. Temperatures over the next couple of days, they're not going to be overly warm. Winds are going to be from the north or onshore, so temperatures tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, only low to mid-teens for most of Newfoundland. Some parts of Lab West, maybe parts of the south coast may flirt with 20. But overall, tomorrow and Wednesday, they're not going to be warm days for most of Newfoundland. We'll start to see things warming up a little bit for some areas as we go into later Wednesday and Thursday, particularly in Labrador. And if you're looking for your 7-day forecast or the forecast for your area, be sure to get the Sheer Weather app. You can find it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Or if you don't want the app, or maybe you already have it, check out the website because I have forecasts. I have 7-day forecasts on the website for like every conceivable geographic region in Newfoundland and Labrador. The other thing we need to talk about this evening before I wrap this up is Hurricane Erin. Latest update, still Cat 4, winds gusting 270, moving northwest at 16 kilometers per hour. This was a Category 5 over the weekend, and it's north of most of the islands in the Caribbean, which is certainly a good thing, but it is certainly generating some wind, some rain, and there's certainly some storm surge in some areas. Now, the forecast for Erin is looking more certain right now that it's going to track southeast of Newfoundland, it looks like, over the weekend. So based on the computer model guidance and the spaghetti charts, this is a very good forecast. The agreement is excellent that it's going to remain far enough southeast of Newfoundland that impacts from the storm, other than rain showers and some high seas, are likely going to be rather insignificant. While a good dose of rain from this would certainly not go astray, tropical systems becoming extratropical in this area typically are extreme events, and while it will produce a lot of rain, the downside of that could be a lot of wind. So we're not going to have to worry about this with Erin unless the forecast drastically changes. The one thing of note is that there are going to be some large waves and swells with Erin. We're talking about rip currents, storm surge in some areas of the eastern U.S. seaboard, but mainly high seas, potential for higher than normal high tides for parts of Atlantic Canada, including parts of Newfoundland. It looks like between later Friday and potentially Sunday. And while that may not have direct impacts for most of us, if you're thinking about the recreational cod fishery over the weekend, the storm may certainly impact that with some large swells. I'll be tracking this over the next few days as always, and I'll have updates for you as needed. Until then, have a very good Monday evening, and as always, stay safe.